Welcome back to the Red Raider Report. Adam, Big 12 Week 1, couple surprises, couple things we expected. Week 2 has some intriguing matchups. Let's run through what happened last week, and it started on Thursday night. Don Williams, poor Don and his Baylor Bears. Early on, they looked pretty decent, but man, Wake Forest took over and made too many mistakes. But the good news for the Bears, they have a pretty good quarterback in the making in Mr. Griffin.
They do, and I think, you're looking at Baylor. They've got a new coach, Art Briles. He did some great things at U of H with the Cougars. I think Baylor's is going to be okay under Briles. It's going to take them a while. They're going to have some growing pains. I don't expect them to have an un-Baylor-like season this year.
Right.
But, if Briles can get some things in place, make sure he can develop some players, they can have some success and look ahead toward next year. I think you'll see Baylor building towards success.
Yeah, I think they're going to get better.
But it's not going to happen overnight.
And Griffin's really fun to watch. That is a good athlete on the field, and he made some, I think he had a SportsCenter top 10 moment on Thursday night with a great stop-and-go move inside Wake Forest territory.
He definitely has some good potential.
He'll be fun to watch. Iowa State, they open up with a win over South Dakota State 44-17. They get Kent State this Saturday. That'll be an important move for the Cyclones. If they can start the season 2-0, that's big for a team trying to get itself back up into the Big 12 race.
It really is. And what they need right now, what the Cyclones need, is confidence more than anything.
Right.
And and we a lot of teams like to do this. They like to line up the patsies, play pretty weak teams. But sometimes that's what a team in a big conference needs. You don't want to go into conference play a little unsure yourself.
Right.
It helps to get these easy wins early.
Exactly. And a team that I was a little worried about going on the road for Game 1 was Oklahoma State at Washington State. But, man, on the completely opposite side of that, they looked outstanding. Their defense looked good. Zach Robinson ran the offense very well. That's a team that might be a little bit better than some people anticipated coming into the season.
I think they will. Oklahoma State had pretty high expectations last year. Didn't quite live up to those.
Right.
This year everyone's saying, well, they'll probably won't be very good. I think Oklahoma State will be. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they'll be better than they were last year.
Right.
They're going to be able to put up points. Zach Robinson now in his second year as a starter, he's going to get better and better. Yeah, I think Oklahoma State is a sleeper team. I think they could go out, especially playing at home. They could probably beat anybody.
Yeah, they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough in that new stadium. And Oklahoma State this weekend, they actually play Kevin Sumlin, his first year as the head coach of the Houston Cougars. That could be a good game too. That's a talented football team, but Oklahoma State looks like they might be legit this year to maybe push themselves in the top half of the Big 12 South Division. We go on up to Kansas. Kansas opened up week number 1 with, the Florida Directional School. You choose your international AU, whatever. It was FIU in this case. A pretty easy 40-13 win. It doesn't get much more challenging this week. They've got Louisiana Tech. They look good. I think the one thing that Coach Mangino may have been a little bit disappointed about was his running backs. Jake Sharp and then the all-everything incoming JUCO all-star, Jaquise Crawford. Maybe not as good as he wanted to see there. So this week I think you'll see a little bit more concentration on the running game from Mangino and the Jayhawks.
I think so, because they're going to have to get both facets going as they head into conference play. When you're facing a school like Louisiana Tech, which is known a lot more for basketball, both men's and women's,
right,
and football, I think they can go in there, they can tinker with some things, they can experiment, make sure they work on what they need to work on, and still come away with an easy W.
You betcha. Now Oklahoma last week, they were in the same situation as Texas Tech. They had to fill an opponent. Unfortunately for Tennessee Chattanooga, they were that fill-in opponent in a completely dominating performance, 57-2. I don't know how much you can take out of that. That's an overmatched team, and I think Oklahoma put on the brakes at one time, putting in their fullback as a tailback, trying not to make that game just look absolutely ridiculous.
Right, but I think it does serve as one thing. It serves as a warning to the rest of the Big 12 and maybe even the country. OU is for real. They come out 50 points in the first half.
That's pretty impressive.
50-0 in the first half. And of course they only scored 57 for the game. So obviously,
right,
in one half of football, that's pretty darn good.
Not bad at all. And the Texas Longhorns, I think we kind of had a little doubts about their secondary, and early on, I think maybe Will Muskamp had a little bit of doubts too, but that group adjusted in a hurry and had a great second half against a good passing offense in FAU, and they won that game very convincingly, 52-10. Next week, they get at UTEP, step outside the friendly confines of Austin to take on the Miners.
They do, but I think that was a very good debut for Texas. In fact, Mac Brown was even quoted as saying that may have been the best season opener in his tenure. And of course, that includes a 2005 team that didn't lose a game. So,
betcha.
I think it was a very good start for Texas, a good confidence builder for those young guys in the secondary. I believe last week I said that was going to be a question mark for Texas. And maybe why they'd struggle against Texas Tech.
They did okay. They did
okay.
They sure
did. And if young guys who've never been out there before, if they can show that kind of improvement and make those adjustments from the first half to the second half, who knows what they'll be able to do late in the season.
You betcha. And speaking of confidence builders, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, they opened up against Western Michigan. A little tougher than they probably thought they were going to get from that team, 47-24. But for Pelini and the Huskers, winning at this point is important and getting that team better. So they're going to be okay. This week they get San Jose State in Lincoln. They don't step out of Lincoln until like November or something like that. So, right. Another confidence builder for them, but that's important for Bo Pelini. They just have to keep winning football games and get that defense reestablished.
It is, and I think Pelini will for sure get the defense reestablished. I think you're kind of a similar situation as Iowa State, although Nebraska is a lot more storied program, but
right.
At this point in time, they're more or less in the same spot. Relatively new coaches, they've got to restock the talent pool, and right now they're just trying to gain some confidence and improve every week.
And Kansas State in Manhattan this weekend, they beat North Texas 45-6. They get another. How do we say?
Pushover?
Is cupcake a good word? Pushover? I'll take either. Montana State into Manhattan this weekend. Missouri. Another outstanding game. I think Don and Adam, anybody will agree, we should start every year with Missouri-Illinois because that is a great football game. Juice Williams looks outstanding, but even more impressive, Missouri withstood that charge. That's a very good football team.
It is, and you talk about a great game. I mean, how many points they scored? 94 points, I believe.
Right.
Missouri had the edge the whole way. Every time Illinois put pressure on them, they responded. Jeremy Macklin. He banged up his ankle, but he showed what he can do on the kickoff return. I think Missouri's the real deal, and they come away with a win against a ranked Illinois team, and now they get to cruise a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a perfect point. They have Southeast Missouri State this week. They don't have to play Jeremy Macklin if they don't want to, and make sure he's completely healthy for the stretch run through conference play.
That's right.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the Big 12 North, Colorado against Colorado State. That was a decent-looking football team on Sunday. They did a good job against the in-state rival, and Cody Hawkins showed a little bit more command of that offense. They're going to be a much-improved team, as predicted by both the media and the coaches in the Big 12 Conference.
Yeah, they will. I mean, you talked about Cody Hawkins in there. He's more experienced now, more comfortable. I think really the guy you got to watch out for is their running back, Darrell Scott.
Yeah,
he's going to do some great things. A highly prized recruit. I think he chose Colorado over Texas. He's a Texas kid.
And he showed some serious burst of speed in that game. He is an ankle away several times from taking that ball to the house. He's going to be a pain for Big 12 defenses to deal with. And on a side note,
definitely.
Very interesting thing, Adam, this weekend, they get the Eagles of Eastern Washington. We're going to get to see a little bit of another comparison right there. How they play against that team compared to how Tech did could be an interesting point. And we'll end on probably the down note for the Big 12 Conference. Coach Mike Sherman and Texas A&M, not the way you want to start your first year at the head of the Aggies. An 18-14 loss to somebody from the Sun Belt Conference called Arkansas State. People cannot be happy in College Station.
Oh no. Poor Aggies right now. Everyone loved to dog on Dennis Franchione. Now he's out the window. In comes Mike Sherman, NFL pedigree. Boom. First game, a loss to Arkansas State at home. Totally unacceptable. But let's keep in mind one thing, and I mentioned this in my blog earlier that week. Last year, Arkansas State goes to Austin and loses to Texas by 8 points.
Yep.
This year they beat A&M by 4 points. So you've got to give some credit to Arkansas State. They're not.
And the Sun Belt's gotten better. There are good teams in that conference who consistently every year they get somebody from a major conference and pick them off.
That's true.
And and A&M, Sherman going to that pro set offense, his players didn't help him any at all. Fumbles and turnovers absolutely murdered that team this weekend. They continue that stuff. They're going to be in trouble Saturday. They have to go to New Mexico. That's not going to be a handover by any means whatsoever.
No, I don't think so. They could very well start the season 0-2. I think the cupboard is pretty much bare for Mike Sherman. They don't really have a lot of the big time athletes, except for maybe the running backs.
Michael Goodson.
Mike Goodson, Jaworski Lane. But yeah, as they retool, I think really what Sherman's got to do, he's got to reestablish the attitude with the Aggies. When teams come into College Station, the Aggies have to go out there and say, this is our home, we're not going to lose. They've had that for most of their history, but that's been lost. That's something they're going to have to get back. Because as Sherman said after the game, a team like Texas A&M is not supposed to lose to a team like Arkansas State.
You betcha, and it'll be interesting to watch that game in New Mexico this weekend. Adam, that's going to do it for our segment right there. We want to thank Campus Design here at 98th and Quaker in Lubbock. An absolutely beautiful store. Please come down here, take a look. Anything Texas Tech you might possibly want, they're probably going to have it for you. Remember, all year, RedRaiders.com, a product of LubbockOnline.com and the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. For Adam, Don, who was on here a little bit earlier, I'm Zach Long. We'll see you next week after Texas Tech, Nevada.